How are we doing this beautiful, beautiful morning from this side of the world? Maybe it's evening on your side of the world. Good evening to you guys on the other side of the world. What a beautiful day. So, what are we discussing today? We are going to be discussing Mr. Declan Rice, the Arsenal record signing for last summer. Mr. Declan Rice. So, what do I have a complaint or do I have a compliment regarding Mr. Declan Rice? Wait till we find out. Before we get into that matter, let's go and actually adhere to our protocol on this channel. Like the video, very very important. Subscribe, yes, subscribe, and make sure you turn on your notification bell. I have to repeat it for those at the back and those that missed it first. I'm going to repeat one more time. Strike the like button, subscribe, yes, subscribe, and make sure you turn on your notification bell. That will be duly appreciated. Now, during Monday Night Football yesterday, Gary Neville has some interesting choice of words to say about Mr. Declan Rice. Let's read it together. Rice is not that position six. For a long time, we're shouting is six. That position is a DM, which is four. It's not six. Six is a partnership, defensive partnership between six and five for both centre half. But somehow, six has been used for a long time, and we somehow just familiarize ourselves with six. I think what you actually means is a four, which is the DM position. Okay, since we established that. So Rice is not that position six that has been established this season. Partey or Jorginho have had to come in. Rice can't play that position very well. Interesting. When I said it a while ago, some of you were in my comment section saying, "What do I mean? What do I mean?" Like, going to listen. This is Gary Neville. Even though I do not actually rate Gary Neville as a top pundit, but they said a broken clock can be right twice a day, which is true. So on this one, I'm totally agreeing with Gary Neville. Rice can't play that position six very well. He's better on the left side as an eight. Some of you say, what do you mean? He's not as creative of a player that should play as an eight. But I understand what it means playing as an eight. He's playing as a defensive eight, meaning when we press aggressively forward, Rice can stay there with its athleticism and his fantastic ability of in tackling for us to recover the ball as an eight. He's not talking about the creative, typical way of playing eight. There are different ways of playing eight. You can be that creative player, or you can be that aggressor, marking from the front and recovering the ball from the front. That is, let's continue to read what he said. That has been established by Mikel. That position six is a different level of intelligence. I've been saying it for a long time. And some of you were backing at me saying, "What do you mean? Why don't you like Declan Rice? Do you have an agenda against Declan?" I do not have any agenda against Declan Rice. I love my players. But guess what? I am still sensible enough to criticize my players objectively. I'm not saying Declan Rice is a bad player. I'm sure Gary Neville is not saying Declan Rice is a bad player. But after watching him for more than 40 games for Arsenal intentionally, I can tell you for free, he doesn't have the verve, the intelligence to play as a six for a top team. Now, if he's playing for a West Ham, the objective of West Ham six is different from the objective of a player playing for a Real Madrid and Arsenal at this point in time, in Man City. Look at Rodri. Fantastic defensively, but offensively on the ball and the intelligence on the ball is still superb. The clients might have all the athleticism in the world, right? He might have all the aggressiveness. He might be fantastic in tackling. But when you play for a top team where you are going to have majority of possession, your six has to contribute creatively. He has to have the gap. Let me give you an example. When we played Bayern and Porto, some of you refuse to want to mention it because you want to defend your player blindly. I will not defend my players blindly. I will defend my players, but I will still expose the slight deficiencies in that game. Declan Rice was not. How do I put this? Declan Rice was average in both games against Porto, home and away, and against Bayern. And nobody was trying to mention it because we're trying to defend him at all costs. You can defend your players, but you can still tell the truth. People were blaming Jorginho for the Bayern game. No, no, no. But we all know Jorginho doesn't have the legs, but that's the intelligence. But when you play against top teams in Europe, those players have intelligence and legs, so they can mitigate what you have. Declan Rice has the legs, the athleticism, but the intelligence, the tech to compete at that level was found wanting, especially against Bayern. Goretzka doesn't have the legs of Declan Rice. He played better in both legs than Declan Rice. Him and his partner, I've forgotten the partner's name. They played better than Declan Rice, that had more legs than them. Declan Rice is more athletic, quicker, sharper than Goretzka, but Goretzka has the cunningness, the tech, the intelligence to play that position better than Declan Rice, and it showed. If we had Partey pairing up with Declan Rice and Partey playing that six in both the games against Porto and Bayern, I'm 80% sure we go through to the semi-finals. Yes, we can see when Partey plays the six and when Declan Rice plays the six, we can see the massive difference. But somehow we're going to downplay it because we want to protect Declan Rice at all costs. We are downplaying what we are saying objectively, but because we pay so much money for Declan Rice, he has to be protected. He's English. We're going to find a way to defend him. Now you can see Gary Neville is coming out to say what some of us, not a lot of Arsenal fans, some of us have observed. I saw it after 10 games that this guy is good, but not as good as what I expected for that position. I'm not saying he cannot play six. See, don't get me wrong, but he cannot play it at an elite level. You can see the gap when Partey plays that six. Even Jorginho, when he plays the six, he might not have the legs, but the intelligence. We saw the game against Man City, both legs. Jorginho was fantastic against Liverpool. He might not have the legs, but the intelligence to move the ball, to think quickly, the angle of the passing, the choice of passing, when to run, the discipline, he has it. See, Declan Rice, let me one particular part of Gary Neville's observation. Look at it now. Let me show you that part. I think this is the part. The position six is a different level of intelligence. I'm not saying Declan Rice is not an intelligent footballer. I think he's a sensational player, and how he has improved, and and how he improved has been unbelievable. But I think he can play in. I don't think he can play that position with real discipline. Let me read that part to you again. I don't think he can play in that position with real discipline. Some of you scoff at that. What do you mean? Even the game against Manchester United yesterday, watch it again. Declan Rice was in a very indisciplined, very indisciplined in that game, but he was making up with his pace and athleticism. Just because you have athleticism doesn't mean you should abuse it. You still have to apply rationality, positional awareness, knowing when to run, when not to run, when to be tactical. That's why a lot of you that rate Van der Ven for Spurs, I rate him not as highly as a lot of you are rating, because if a player has to resort to his athleticism all the time, his recovery pace all the time, you are not as good as you think you are, because you do not have to resort to using your athleticism all the time. Athleticism and pace is good in football, but what quantity do you need? People think Van der Ven is the fastest defender in the Premier League. Absolute nonsensical. He is not. Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba are arguably faster than him, but the fact that they don't use all the time, people are not saying Van der Ven is a faster defender. No, they don't need to use all the time because they apply their common sense, they apply positional awareness, they're more tactical in their positioning than Van der Ven, that abuses the fact that he can stay out of position and recover with his pace. Back to the topic of Declan Rice. I love him. Fantastic signing. I still think it's a fantastic signing. He can still do a job. There are games where Declan Rice can play as a six, but we are playing the top European teams in the Champions League. We're going to play this season. I will play this season and this coming season. He's not that guy. He can play certain games, but when we are playing against the Bayern and the Real Madrids of this world, who have technical, smart players in the midfield, who might not be as fast as Declan Rice, but they're not as slow as slouches too, they might outwit Declan Rice. And we saw it against Porto. We saw it against Bayern. Can Declan Rice improve? Yes, but can he be deployed in other ways? That's why you need a player that can help him not to be exposed, that can complement Declan Rice. The best thing to get players that can complement Declan Rice, which is like a Partey. We know Partey is injury prone, so we're going to get a player. The sixth position, or we're going to get this season, has to be a player that can complement Declan Rice. He has to be a player that can complement, because Declan Rice can still do a fantastic job up the pitch as the eight. When we press high, aggressively tackling. His tackling as a DM is nobody comes close to tackling when it comes to Declan Rice. He's smelling of danger as a DM. No DM in the world comes close to it. But on the ball, the usage of the ball, the quality of the passing, the discipline of the position, using your head, picking your passes, knowing when to step in and step out. I'm sorry, at this moment, even though Declan Rice is relatively young, has not shown me enough to trust him that he will become a fantastic all-round DM. He hasn't shown me. He hasn't shown me enough. Some of you still say, oh, "What do you mean he hasn't shown you enough?" Watch the game. Take away your biases. Take away your Arsenal tinted glasses and watch him. I'm not saying he's not a top player. Do not see, guys. Listen carefully and comprehend. Do not just listen and react. Listen and comprehend. He hasn't shown enough intelligence of that position. Now he makes up with lots of running. See, I am not a lazy watcher of football. I'm not a lazy football watcher or someone that analyzes football lazily. Like running, yes, it's fantastic, but it doesn't make up for the lack of guile, creativity, football. When there's a reason why South American players or the Spanish league have won more of the Champions League than the English teams, because the English teams are overly dependent on athleticism, which is fantastic. But you have to have a fine balance of athleticism and technical ability, guile, movement. That's why I always take street players over academic players. There's a reason why the World Footballers of the Year have been won by most of the players that played on the street, because the level of intelligence you pick up playing on the pitch, or play on the streets with other players than playing in the academy where you are overly regimented because your instructor wants you to play a certain way. But when you play on the streets, before you start playing professional football, you've picked up some tactics, you've picked up some skill set that you can never learn under the guidance or tutelage of a football academy teacher or tutor. So for me, Declan Rice is still a super player. I'm not going to say he's not a super player, but there are some shortcomings that we need to just look at objectively and understand that the next player we need to buy in the midfield has to be able to complement him, or else very soon a lot of you get frustrated with him. He's still athletic, he's still young, he's still developing, but you have to buy a player that complements his deficiency. Very, very important. So I had to just say that because for a long time I was kind of calling it out, not negatively. I was just saying that after watching him after 10 games, like Declan Rice defensively, fantastic tackling, but when I go to have majority of the ball, what he does with the ball, I'm not overly impressed. Especially when you compare it to the likes of Partey we've had, the likes of Gilberto Silva, the likes of Edu we've had in our midfield. Those are players that were defensive midfielders, but they still had a creative hub to them, a creative side to them. That is what I want for my team. I want my team to win the biggest trophies. We are going to play in Champions. I want to win the Champions League. And winning Champions League, you need players that not just have athleticism or they're full of running. They have to have guile. They have to have elite technical ability. Go and watch the Bayern game again and the Porto game, and look and watch the client's performances, and take away your biases. Take away the fact that he's the highest, the player with the highest transfer fee in national history at this moment, and be objective. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but there are some shortcomings in this game. So if you disagree with me objectively, let me know why you disagree with me in the comment section. This is not a echo chamber. You agree, you are free to disagree, but make it logical, make it objective, and we can have we can have a decent conversation about it. We can go back and forth respectfully. So let me know what you think in the comment section. On your way out, like the video, subscribe yet subscribe, and make sure you turn on your notification bell. Very important. Like the video, subscribe, and make sure you turn on your notification bell. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.